So you want to be more productive. A lot of people are busy, but how many of them are actually productive, including myself? I used to grind, but the only thing I grinded down was myself. Ever since I was 14, I've been grinding. I started a dropshipping business, I created a mobile game, I tried coding, all these different things, even a delivery business similar to Uber Eats. And it wasn't until I was 19 I realized that I was just hopping to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, never actually getting anything done. No results to actually show. I was just trying different stuff and grinding. So I started to watch countless and countless videos. I read some books, and also I literally sat there and basically thought for like a whole month on how to actually be productive. And I figured out a 5-tier system. I set up a 5-tier system for myself that if you actually try, you can set up in one day. It is also adaptable to the different life events that you can't predict. It will keep you on track to being productive for 91.7 to 95.8% of your day. And I'll get into more on those specific numbers later. But I call this method the funnel method. And I just made that name up this morning, by the way. But anyways, before we get into the specifics of the funnel method and how to actually be productive and how to actually set this up, I want to first talk about what is productivity. So to me, I think a good way to think about it is if you imagine if you're a runner and you're running in a race. So you're participating in this race, and of course, in order to win, in order to proceed in this race, you have to go down the track and then eventually go across the finish line. But then you're at the starting line, the gun shoots for you to start, and you just turn around and start running the opposite direction. Yes, you're running, you're doing what you're supposed to do technically, but you're going in the wrong direction. You're not making any progress towards the finish line. So you're grinding, but you're not actually moving forward. So if you put it in the context of productivity now. Yes, if you're putting in the work, that's great, right? Okay, you're putting in the work. But if you're not actually moving forward, can you call it productivity? I don't really think you can. So in order to be productive, I think you both have to be putting in the work, like really consciously thinking about what you're doing and also actually moving forward towards your goal, moving towards the finish line. But then that sounds all great, right? You know, you're moving towards some sort of goal and you're working hard. That's productivity. But why should you actually be productive? You know, there's so many better things to do in life, like have fun. You could hang out with friends, drink stuff, play video games, watch anime, all these fun things to do. Why just be productive all the time? Well, at least for myself, I didn't make this quote up or anything. I heard it somewhere and I don't remember where, but I think it's very related to why you should be productive. So I'm sure you've heard that in order to achieve your dreams, you need to sacrifice. You need to sacrifice for your dreams. But the thing that keeps sticking with me is if you don't sacrifice for your dreams, what you're sacrificing is your dreams. So you're sacrificing your dreams to have that fun, to go do whatever random short-term pleasurable activity you want. You are sacrificing your dreams. And personally, I think there's a reason why you call it your dreams. It's because it's something like way high up there, like a great goal that you truly want. You truly want to achieve this thing. That's why you call it your dreams. So would you want to be in a situation where you're having the most fun? You know, you're having tons of fun playing video games, hanging with friends all the time, having so much fun for years and years and years, but you're sacrificing your dreams. You'll never get what you truly wanted. Versus, yes, you're having no fun. You're literally like quote unquote miserable, but you're going towards your dreams every single day. And you might not be having any fun, but you're sacrificing for your dreams, sacrificing that fun. But since you're going towards your dreams, you're being satisfied. So do you really want to have fun or actually achieve your dreams? Think about what you want to sacrifice. You can only really have one or the other. So now, what is the funnel method? As I mentioned, there's 5 parts to the funnel method. And just to go through each one of them briefly, you first start with your dreams, and then you go on down to the planning out the very next year, then a weekly schedule, then a general to-do list where you dump everything, and then a daily to-do list, which is the daily task that you're going to do today and you're actually going to get done. You're at least trying to get done. And what that does, since it's coming down from your dream, you're staying and then eventually trickling down to the very daily task, you're staying on track. You're always moving in the right direction. But then also, since you're keeping all these daily tasks down and you're continuously doing them, of course, you're putting in the work as well. So you have the 2 criteria to be actually productive. But there's actually one trap that you need to avoid, even with using this funnel method. And I'll explain that a little bit later, because you're only able to understand it once you understand the funnel method. And for the sake of time, also, maybe you've already figured out your dream, you know what you want to do. But if you haven't and you want to know how to figure out what your life goal is, what your dream is, then let me know, and I of course can talk about it. But I'll focus on just from the yearly plan down to the daily task, because that's where you actually start getting stuff done. And I think it's easiest to show you by just showing you how I set up the funnel method for myself, and then you can just adapt it for whatever way works for yourself. So now switching over to my screen and starting with the yearly plan. So as I mentioned, you'll start with your life goal, your dream, and then you want to move into a yearly plan. How I always like to do it is with a flowchart. And this particular software that I'm using is called Obsidian, and it has the ability to make a flowchart, but you can also use something like Excalidraw or Miro, or just draw it on a piece of paper, which is what I started with. I just drew it on a piece of paper, and I eventually moved electronically because it's easier to edit, so you don't have to redraw everything all the time. But with your life goal, you'll start with that, and then, okay, what is the one thing that I need to achieve in the next year that will move me towards my life goal? And this could be anything. It could be like making a money milestone or getting a job or something like that. And for me, I'm not going to show you the very specifics of my flowchart because that's not really important, but I'll just outline how I have it set up. So the starting point here is just a starting point in general, and then the ending part is the goal that goes towards my life goal. And I have a little key here that shows the different colors, which different colors are like, I have like a business stuff here, some investment stuff here, and some more personal stuff here, which is like exercising, nutrition type things. And then for the business part, I have like YouTube and also a business that I'm starting. And this orange part here is more like investment type things like stocks, crypto, that eventually roll up to what I have as my yearly goal. And just for example, let's just say your yearly goal is you want to make like 100K for this particular year, just as an example. This is not my goal, by the way. So I'll have the specific projects that I can work on, that I can do in order to get to that yearly goal, which of course feeds up to my life goal. So I have like YouTube, business, crypto, stock, whatever, working out, all these things that I want to get through the year that happen sequentially that eventually accomplish whatever goal that I'm going towards. And the reason why I want to set it up as a flowchart, because one thing happens before the other, and I want to make sure that I'm putting my full focus towards like step 1 of something before I even think about doing step 10. Because if I'm trying to do like step 1 and step 10 and like step 3 all at the same time, step 10 and 3 is something that I can't actually get done until I do step 1. So I'm sort of like wasting my time. So this keeps you focused on what are the very specific projects that you need to do. And going one step deeper into the funnel method is the weekly schedule. And what the weekly schedule does is it goes down to the hourly level and takes the different projects that you're working on from the yearly plan and just plop it into a weekly schedule, hour by hour, or whatever time frame you want to use, in order to keep you on track throughout the day. And this is actually where the 91.7 to 95.8% of the day comes in, because as you can see, I scheduled in like free time for like 1 hour for some of these days. Some days I do like 2 hours. And if you do 22 divided by 24, that's 91.7, or if you do 23 divided by 24, that's 95.8. So that's where that comes from. And what you use this for after you take the project. So as I mentioned, one of my projects is YouTube. I just like plop it in here. I also have a job, so I block out that time for my job. And this is a rough thing that you generally follow. You don't have to follow it super strictly, but you generally follow it. So whenever you have some like free time or some time where you're unsure of what you actually need to do, and you're sort of like tempted, like, oh, maybe I want to watch some anime, like I have nothing to do right now, right? You just come back to this and you realize, oh, I could actually be working on whatever project that's much more productive. And this is how I have set up for myself. And of course, you don't have to follow it. This is just for my specific goals and my specific projects. But you can just write this out on a piece of paper for yourself, go into Excel or Google Sheets and do something very similar to myself every single day, go through the hours and just plop the different projects that you have on there. And from there, as I mentioned, this is just to keep you on track. But now going into the next level of the funnel method, which I call the general to-do list portion, is you'll literally just plop down the very general things that you need to do. And the purpose of it is so you don't forget anything that you actually need to do. And also, I'm not going to get into the very specifics of what's on my list, but these are some of the things that I just want to do in general. And of course, I have the different projects that I'm working on here. So like I have my business, like YouTube and things that I will learn, different investments. And then I have it collapsed, but I have all the different tasks that I can accomplish right now, so I don't forget anything that I actually need to finish. And of course, whenever I finish something, I'll just like check it or uncheck it. You can do this same thing in Google, like set up a checkbox in Google Docs or something like that, or just have it on a piece of paper. That works fine too. And this is not something that you have to do specifically, but in the way I like to have my productivity is I just set up a 3 to 4 month time frame where I purely just follow my schedule, no relaxation. I follow like the weekly schedule exactly, and or at least the portion of basically no free time. I follow that for like the 4 months, and I'll take a week or so as a break. But then within this 4 months, everything that I will do will only be coming from this to-do list. And then I set a theme for myself, which is, for me, I was like, no video games, like no dumb YouTube videos or YouTube shorts, anything like that. I also like want to get more shredded, and I'm doing retention for this 4 months. So you can do something like that, or you could just like forget that and try to just follow the system as it is. But that's like a little extra bonus piece if you want to help sort of keep yourself on track. And I think it's quite nice because you sort of convince yourself like, oh, I only need to do this for like 3 or 4 months, like super grind hard and be super productive. And then in the next week, I can relax a little bit and just kind of calm my mind. And then in that 3 days to 1 week, you can plan out the next couple of months and create a new to-do list, which is why I have 2 here. So now on to the final part of the funnel method, which is the daily tasks that you're going to do. So from your general to-do list right here, you take one of those tasks and you plop it onto a notepad, whatever you're going to do for that day. And you should create this daily list of things to do either in the morning of the day or at night. And that way it keeps you on track for what you're going to do that very specific day. And in the notepad, so you write the tasks, and for at least for me, I like to write the different tasks and I'll draw a horizontal line next to the task. So what that does is whenever I get the task done, I just draw a vertical line through the horizontal line, and it signifies that it's done. So it's very like something very simple to keep a list, and like, oh, like cross, 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 all done, 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 done. And I'm sure you've seen like the complicated bullet journals and all this different things. And the reason why I don't do that is just to keep it very simple. So I do the horizontal line and just write the task. And the very specific reason why I say a notepad is because every single day you can take your tasks and you can go to the page, and then all the different tasks that you get done, whatever not or even not done, you just rip out that page. So like, oh, this day is done. And that's super satisfying, especially if you have a bunch of tasks crossed out. You're like, oh, rip out the page, you know. You can crumple the thing up, and like I have like a basket where I throw all the paper as, just like, oh, chuck it in there kind of thing. And that day is done, whether I got all those daily tasks done or not. And then for the very next day, usually the night before, and I say the night before so you can just sort of clear your head from the different tasks that you need to do, so you can go to sleep well and not have like lingering thoughts in your mind, like, oh, what I'm gonna do for tomorrow, right? So take the notepad again for the night after, and you'll just write down the daily things that you need to do again. And whatever you didn't finish but still need to do, you'll just write it down again. And that keeps it fresh in your mind. And the reason why you should do that and continuously refresh every single day is because it's sort of like if you imagine an alarm, like you go, let's say you're in a building or you're in school or whatever, and there's a fire alarm goes off like every 2 hours, every single day, constantly going off. Eventually you're going to start ignoring that fire alarm. But once there's a real fire and there's a real fire alarm, well, you're going to ignore it, right? So that's what I call like the repeated alarm effect. I just made that up like right now. But if you write it fresh every single day and keep it as a fresh task that you say you're going to get done for that specific day, you can make sure in your mind it doesn't sort of get ignored, because you're refreshing it. And you'll continuously create that list every single day, get your different things done. And every time you get a project done, you get different tasks done, you'll just move up the chain and you'll go back to your like general to-do list and you'll check off the different tasks. And maybe when you get a project done, you'll check that off and you go back to your yearly plan. And then it's like, okay, like what is the next portion of this project, or like what is left in this yearly plan that I need to do? And you can shift and put that into your weekly schedule, and eventually that flows down into your general to-do list, and that'll eventually flow down into your daily to-do list. And when it's a new year and achieve that yearly goal, maybe you didn't achieve that yearly goal, if that would be unfortunate, but maybe you didn't achieve that yearly goal, then you would still make one for the new year. And come back to your life goal, your dream goal, whatever you have, and you plop down like, okay, what is the next thing that I would need to achieve for this year in order to get closer to that life goal. So that is all the different portions of the funnel method and how I set it up for myself. So you have your life goal, and then from that, you set yourself a yearly goal with all the different projects that you need to achieve to get closer to finish that yearly goal. And then you'll take the different projects, you'll plop into a weekly schedule to keep yourself on track on actually completing the different projects. And then you'll take the different projects and the very specific tasks that you need to do, put it on a general to-do list. And from the general to-do list, you'll take that and you put it down onto your daily notepad to write down what you're going to do for that specific day. Whenever you're unsure, just refer back to your weekly schedule. And whenever you finish different things, you can refer back to your yearly schedule. And whenever the year finishes, you can refer back to your life goal and create a new yearly plan and do that same process over and over again. But remember that trap that I mentioned previously? So even if you did use the funnel method and use it in the way that I mentioned, you can still fall into this trap. And this trap comes up when you don't really have a clear life goal. You don't actually know what you want. You haven't really figured out what you want. You're kind of just like going around like reaching around for different shiny objects. Shiny object syndrome. And I would like to put it this way. There was a movie, like an Indiana Jones movie, I think, which they were looking for the Holy Grail. And when they went to go find the Holy Grail, they eventually got to a room where there's a bunch of grails all around them. A bunch of golden grails, and there was one of them was the Holy Grail. And all of these grails look great, right? But of course, do you want to drink from all the different Holy Grails to figure out what the Holy Grail is? Because supposedly there's poison in all the different cups except for the Holy Grail. Or do you only want to drink from the Holy Grail? Of course you'd only want to drink from the Holy Grail, right? So if you bring it back to this funnel method, you make sure you only want to drink from the Holy Grail. So in other words, you want to make sure you have a very clear vision on what your dream is, so you actually stay on track. Because if you don't have a clear vision, if you don't have a good starting point of the funnel, the stuff that comes out of the end is going to be garbage. You're just going to go like, oh, and you're going to drink all the poison. Do you want to drink all the poison, or do you just want to drink the Holy Grail? So to make sure this funnel method works well, make sure you have a very, very clear idea of your life goals, your dreams, and make sure that is something that you truly want and truly want to achieve, or else the things that you're going to do are not actually going to move you forward. So now you know how to optimize your daytime, but what about optimizing your nighttime? If you're interested in that, you can watch this video here on the 5 things you can avoid that prevent you from falling asleep and getting good quality sleep.